let's talk about sleep. Oh. A good night's sleep is the best time that you can have in bed, but by any regards, it'll be the longest time you have in bed. So, I know what you're saying. Guy on the internet, I get enough sleep each night. I'm getting my 40 winks, so you could say. But what if I told you? In a study published in the Journal of Sleep, consistently getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night gives you about a 12% higher chance of dying prematurely. And you don't want to be premature. Furthermore, people who regularly sleep less than 5 hours a night are going to have about a 32% chance of mortality, higher than those people that will sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. Think about the last time you got 7 to 8 hours of quality deep sleep at night where you weren't staring at your phone for hours on end before. That's what I thought. Not looking good. So, I know what you're saying, and that is, first, why does sleep even matter? It's something we're all forced to do, and as long as I'm sleeping, sleep is sleep, right? Well, to that I counter it with saying, first, I think it's important to understand what sleep is and why it matters before we can say how to improve sleep or some stuff that you should look into. So, for example, there's the sleep stages. There are a few different stages where there is non-rapid eye movement and there's rapid eye movement, or REM for short. During non-rapid eye movement sleep, your body is going through a lot of its physical functions where it's repairing tissues. Well, during REM sleep, it's associated with vivid dreams and cognitive processing. So that's when your brain is going through and backing up everything that you learned and did throughout the day. And if there are links that you guys want to studies or information that I'm using throughout this video, it will be linked down below in the description. So I know what you're saying. Hey, I've been getting X amount of sleep for however many years now. But there are some general sleep recommendations that happen throughout the ages that you are. For people 18 to 64 years old, it's going to be about the standard 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. For seniors ages 65 and up, in this case, we're looking at 7 to 8 hours typically. However, if you are younger than 18 years old, there are actually a lot higher sleep recommendations based on your age, but for that one I will have it linked below as well. So let's move into a second important topic for this one. So now we can get to another important section, which is why does sleep matter? Because we just covered a very low-level explanation of the cycles of sleep, just because it's not the primary purpose of this video, and if you really want an in-depth explanation of that one, there's tons of videos that are going to go more in-depth than this one. This one is going to be more focused on sleep optimization and what you can do to improve the quality of your sleep. So, what does sleep do for mental health? Well, sleep is kind of crucial for mental health as it allows the brain to be able to process emotions, consolidate memories. So, as you may notice, if you get sleep deprived or you lack sleep, this can lead to mood disorders where you're maybe more irritable, you're more anxious, or you might become depressed. And if you want to know some of the better ties to sleep in relation to how you're going to be mentally, then I will link some Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, I believe is the name of the source, down below in the description for you to read. But I know what you're saying. I don't care about my mental health. All I care is that I look big and I look jacked. But what I can tell you is sleep does play a huge impact on physical health. Adequate sleep is vital for physical health, including your immune system function. If you're sick, you're going to be losing muscle, you're going to be losing body mass, you're going to be losing a ton of stuff. Hormone regulation, that's going to be affecting your testosterone, your estrogen, a ton of other things, which will affect your overall body's ability to work. It also just affects your overall well-being. Chronic sleep deprivation is associated with an increased risk of conditions like obesity, heart disease, and diabetes, which if you look at the common breakdown of an American citizen, obesity, heart disease, and diabetes are things plaguing us as a society. potentially, are we a society that is neglecting the aspects of sleep in our life, and that is resulting in a higher detriment to our physical public health? That might have been a terrible and that might have been a terrible way of wording it, but if you would like to read more on this one, we do have the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, which will be linked down below if you want to learn more about the links in between your sleep and physical health. Then we can go into links in between sleep and memory consolidation / creativity. Because guess what? If you're not sleeping, you're not going to be creative, you're not going to be remembering a lot. Because during the REM sleep cycle, your brain is able to process and store information throughout the day. This process contributes to learning and problem solving. In this instance, I want you to think of it like you're going through your camera roll here. Guess what? You're going to delete the stuff that was useless, like you took a picture of something that you wanted to buy at the store that day. Guess what? You bought it, you can delete it. But you're not going to delete the pictures of your dog. Because guess what? You love your dog. You want to keep that in memory. That's basically what the REM sleep cycle is to an extent, where it's kind of sorting through everything. It's disposing of what's no longer needed, and it's keeping what's needed. So again, articles like this one will be linked down below, so you can go ahead and view it. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of what this video is more about. Tips for optimizing sleep. So we're gonna first go with just general broad lifestyle changes that you can make that will become beneficial to your quality of sleep just by doing a little bit of biohacking, but not by adding in external sources, all stuff that you can easily control and are relatively free to an extent. So one of the biggest tips that you could have ever is the importance of your sleep scheduling. According to the National Sleep Foundation, maintaining a regular sleep schedule can help regulate your body's internal clock and make it easier for you to fall asleep. In this case, your body's internal clock is actually your circadian rhythm, and there's been several studies to kind of show that disruptions in the circadian rhythm, such as irregular sleep schedules, whether it's your working nights and then your working days, or it's you're traveling and it's, say you're jumping a few time zones and you get a little bit of jet lag, it can have a negative impact on your health and your quality of sleep. Just think about jumping over 2 time zones and now you're 2 hours ahead of where you should be. It's gonna mess you up and you might be jet lagged for a few days. Or if you're having very inconsistent sleep, then it makes it harder for you, 1, to get to that sleeping point, and 2, it kind of decreases the quality of sleep that you do have. So if you can kind of get yourself into a routine bedtime and wake up time, it is going to be beneficial to the overall quality of your sleep, and I would highly recommend it, just because a lot of our lives are around schedules and stuff like that. So although it might be hard to set up initially, if you get in a groove, it might be beneficial in the long run. Just try and schedule your sleep around like work, around like commitments in your general day life, like work, like school, like the gym, and a lot of other things. Just understand that you also have to program in for stuff like social obligations or other stuff that might come up. And just because it is a schedule does not mean you have to be rigid to it and completely hold yourself to it all the time. Trader Joe's sparkling water starfruit. If you ever need something refreshing, 0 calories, would recommend it. But now we can go into another major tip that can be relatively free if you make it, which is an ideal sleep temperature. There's a lot of studies that show that the temperature at which you're sleeping at can actually play a role on both optimal sleep comfort as well as how quickly your body can get into a relaxed state. It's recommended generally to be around 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which I believe is 18 to 21, 22 degrees Celsius. But I am an American man, which means I speak in bald eagle units of freedom. So I know what you're saying, air conditioning isn't necessarily free. Well, I understand that's an issue during the summers. It is possible to open a window at night if you are somewhere where it's not necessarily too loud, and there are some tips to combat noise that we will cover later on. If not, then you can try and run your air conditioning down. If neither of those work, then you can look at reducing the amount of insulation that you have inside of your bedroom. This would be done by just choosing thinner sheets, thinner blankets, or removing blankets as you go, just so there is more ability for your body to exchange heat with the air, thus hopefully having you sleep at a cooler temperature. But hey, guess what? A better sleep temperature shows that it will influence your sleep patterns and your comfort. So do what you can to try and adjust this and find out what works for you. Because maybe you're a hot sleeper, maybe you're a cold sleeper. Both will be beneficial for you to know. Then we can talk about diet of this one. So diet plays an important part of your sleep quality, just because if you consume stuff that are stimulants too late during the day, it will actually dysregulate your body's internal clock and make it harder for you to be able to go to sleep. Additionally, your body does digest and react to stuff very differently. So some people have found that if they eat a carb-heavy meal later in the day, protein-heavy meal, fat-heavy meal, closer to bedtime, just as their body individually goes through digesting that one, that it actually makes it harder for it to be able to sleep. Additionally, with that being said, as you are digesting food, it is going to create a lot more body heat, which might actually make it harder. If we talked about sleeping temperatures prior to this, it's going to make it harder to get to that ideal temperature for your body to be able to sleep, which is relatively unfortunate. So there are things that you can do, like consuming foods with more tryptophan in it, such as turkeys, nuts, and cheese. These boost the amount of serotonin throughout your body, as well as melatonin, both of which are associated with better sleep. Now, I know what you're saying. We just mentioned melatonin. Please, if you can avoid it, do not supplement in melatonin, just because it can have some negative side effects, and I would not recommend that one, as becoming dependent on melatonin usage or tryptophan usage through exogenous sources. If it's being supplemented throughout your diet, then I would say it's relatively fine than taking large doses of it exogenously. And additionally, although we did talk about caffeine disrupting your ability to sleep, so can alcohol. So it's advisable to avoid these substances prior to going to bed. But just understand that it is okay occasionally if you do come back from drinking, or if you do have later caffeine occasionally. Just please don't make it a habit. It'll be beneficial to you. So now we're actually going to talk about some sleep aids that might be beneficial to you. The first one we're going to talk about is one that I actually hold in my hand here, which is, I would recommend supplementing in magnesium. In this case, I consume magnesium glycinate. Sorry, my overall pronunciation of words is generally lackluster, as I do have a limited vocabulary. As an engineer, not an engineering major, even though I did major in mechanical engineering, I speak like a caveman, and you would think English is hard to me. But there's a recommended daily dose of about 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine, depending on your age, your gender, and a few other factors. Like example of these, the dosing is about 400 milligrams per serving. So consuming these in relation to bedtime can help you sleep. If you don't want to do it exogenously through supplementation, what you can do is consume magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens and nuts to naturally increase your magnesium intake. So, why is magnesium important for your ability to sleep? There are some studies that suggest that magnesium supplementation, or more magnesium intake through your diet, can actually improve the quality of your sleep by promoting muscle relaxation, which less tension in the muscles will just help your body be able to go to sleep, as well as by reducing the latency that it takes for your body to be able to both wind down to go to sleep initially, as well as you wake up throughout the night, which is naturally and you might not realize happens, it reduces the amount of times for you to go back to sleep. Which there are going to be, again, sources like that one listed down below, so you can read more into the studies. But magnesium supplementation is generally pretty cheap, not sleep. and something that I would recommend for most people. So now we can go into one that I don't have a physical prop of because it is plugged in my room, which is the use of a white noise machine. So the concept of this is kind of twofold, where if you look at how noise canceling headphones work, it works by creating disruptive sound waves to ones that are occurring inside the environment. So by doing this, it can cancel out some of the more jarring or disruptive waves to your sleep. But additionally, it just can create kind of a white noise thing, so there's a constant thing for your body to be able to adapt to, which actually can, one, kind of Pavlov's dog yourself into sleep if it is something that you can't hear. I would not take that one out of the possibility, but white noise machines generally just allow you to improve your quality of sleep and reduce the time that it takes for you to go to sleep. Which, again, there's a common theme between these, which is just improving the quality of your sleep and decreasing latency that it takes for sleep to occur. Then we're going to get into one that you might have in the bedroom, or you might have for stuff not in the bedroom, but it's a sleep mask. But you can use it for other things if you really want to. I'm not going to give you ideas for what that could be, but the premise of a sleep mask is pretty much like just general curtains. Who would have guessed? So a sleep mask is going to cover your eyes and block out light. Now I know what you're saying. My eyes are already closed while I'm sleeping and my room should be dark. Why does that matter? Well, there have been a few studies that show how light exposure, even during sleep, can affect sleep patterns and overall qualities. You know, if you live in somewhere where it's not completely pitch black outside, there's going to be stuff like streetlights. There's going to be stuff like cars passing by, or just if there's a storm or something. There's going to be flashes that come through the window. I sure hope you have a window just for safety when you're sleeping. In case there's a fire or something, you can get out. But a sleep mask just aids in the ability to block out light because it's going as close to the source as it can, that in this case the source being what is intaking light, which is by physically covering your eyes, you've maybe got a little bit of gapping down below, but it does do a great job at covering out a large bit of the light. So now we can also get to just a little bonus item here, which makes me really look like a psychopath when I'm sleeping, which is the use of breathe right strips. So these work by expanding your nasal cavity here, where you place it on top of your nose, and there's rigid plastic layers in this case that actually just pull up on your nasal passages and allow you to intake more oxygen if you do have restrictive breathing. This is why it helps people that snore to stop snoring, but I just do it to increase the volume of respiratory intake during my sleep, because throughout my own sleep tracking through my Whoop band, I have found it to be beneficial. So remember, if you want the keys to one of the most important things of your life, it's important to remember that you get all the stages of sleep. Light sleep is important, deep sleep is important, REM sleep is important. We love diversity here, and each one is very important. Additionally, make sure you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night, preferably more, because that's beneficial. And make sure you're listening to your body's needs. If you're taking on heavier physical load throughout the day by training harder or exerting yourself more than normal, or you're doing more mentally taxing challenges like you're studying for exams, or you're working hard that day, you're working late that day, your body's need for rest is going to increase. So make sure you're listening to it. Don't commit yourself to a rigid schedule, but neglect to listen to yourself. Then stay consistent, temperate, diet. Then if all of that is dialed in, maybe look into biohacking a little bit. Add in supplementation, white noise, eye mask, nasal strips. Mix and match it to your heart's desires. Maybe you can't sleep with an eye mask on, but you can get blackout shades and a white noise machine, and it increases your sleep quality. There's no good one-size-fits-all. So please, I would recommend trying them out. Let me know what works for you. It's also important to note that if you do have persistent sleep issues, you feel like you snore, you have sleep apnea, or there's irregular patterns in your sleep and other issues, then I would strongly recommend contacting a healthcare professional to do a sleep study or get other things evaluated. Or you can do sleep trackers like an Apple Watch, an Oura Ring, a Whoop band. There's a lot of different things that you can do as different outlets to help yourself have the ability to improve your sleep. But what I can say is, if you've made it this far, please feel free to like, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you would like. If you want to, down below, please comment your sleep improvement experiences or experiments. Have you found something that worked really well for you, or something that you think might be a benefit to the community or a detriment to the community and something that you want to help them avoid? I do and I will have supplementation links for V1 Nutra down below, as well as potentially a referral link for the Whoop band if it is something you want to try out to help track your sleep patterns and sleep statistics, so you can just do some easier data logging and see what works for you or what doesn't work for you. But I hope you guys had a absolutely fantastic time, and get after it. I encourage you to just do what works for you. Please let me know how it goes, and get after it.